Hi guys, so here we go again. Boris Johnson threatened to trigger Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol on a number of occasions last year. Then his Brexit minister, Lord Frost, did the same by saying that the tests had been met. What I and others believe that Lord Frost wanted to abandon the sinking ship before it took him with it, resigned as Brexit minister, and now we have Liz Truss doing exactly the same. I've said it before, Frost and Johnson were never questioned about the specific aspects of the protocol that both of them hailed as a wonderful deal that they see now as problematic. A true failing on the side of the media. Liz Truss will likely get off the hook in the same way. She wrote an article for the Telegraph on Saturday where she said that she was willing to trigger Article 16, while the response from the EU has been the same. Here is Trevor Phillips of Sky News asking the EU ambassador to the UK about how this may affect elections taking place in Northern Ireland in a few months' time.
There, of course, is another event approaching that will put new pressure on these negotiations, and that is that there will be elections to the Stormont Assembly in May. And in practice, when this gets mixed up with politics, is that likely to make the negotiation even more complicated?
I don't want to comment on the internal situation of a third country, where I proudly represent the European Union, but I can tell you that we are in close contact with all the political leaders in Northern Ireland, directly or virtually, on a very regular basis, and I think we fully understand all the elements of the complexity of the situation in Northern Ireland. The European Union has been committed for a long time to peace and prosperity in Northern Ireland. We were there since the beginning of the Good Friday Belfast Agreement, and we remain absolutely committed to guarantee peace and security and prosperity in Northern Ireland. And actually, if I may, Trevor, highlight one point. The protocol provides a huge opportunity for Northern Ireland. Just remember that this is the only territory in the world that has access to both the United Kingdom market, but also to 500 million people market, which is the single market of the European Union. So the only territory in the world. So this gives Northern Ireland citizens, Northern Ireland business, a perspective for job creation, for foreign investment, for European investment, but also, I understand, Canadian, American investors are very interested, provided we guarantee that there is predictability and security and stability in Northern Ireland. I think the protocol creates the conditions for that against the background of a Brexit that created enormous problems for Northern Ireland. We had to square the circle together with our British friends. It took a long time. Now we have the protocol, which is international law, British law, EU law. We want to implement it with pragmatism, with a certain degree of flexibility. And that's what we're talking about, and that's what we should talk about in the coming days and weeks. And I share the idea that we need a new momentum. And I hope that the meeting we're having in Chevening this week with the Foreign Secretary will inject a new momentum into these negotiations. That's our hope and that's our commitment.
You notice how the European Union promote the protocol, and they're not lying about anything here. They have said the protocol provides a unique opportunity for Northern Ireland. It has access to the UK internal market, and it has access to the European single market. They're not lying here. You know, I think it was Michael Gove last year who said, yes, Northern Ireland is in a unique position because of the withdrawal agreement to have access to the UK internal market and the EU single market. So Brexiteers like Michael Gove were promoting the Northern Ireland Protocol and the withdrawal agreement last year, and now they're thrashing it. The European Union are not trashing it. Why is that? Why is it one side is saying, look, this is good. They negotiated, they signed it, they agreed to it. Both sides actually, as we have understood, negotiated it, signed it, and sold it to their respective peoples. But one side now is thrashing it. Why? And I've said this before, Liz Truss is going to do the same as Lord Frost, not provide solutions. There are issues, yes, there are problems contained within the protocol. It's not perfect, but it's mitigating against the damage of Brexit. It's mitigating the damage of Brexit, sorry. Brexit is extremely damaging, creates massive instability, and the protocol is providing a little bit of stability. Now, as I said last year, businesses in Northern Ireland reached out to the European Union and said, look, here are some of the problems we have. We need flexibilities applied. The European Union responded, and the business community in Northern Ireland were more than happy with the response. They expected something, and the European Union delivered more than that. The European Union seemed to be willing to negotiate or deal with businesses and the communities of Northern Ireland, while the response from Boris Johnson's government is, well, we're going to listen to the likes of the DUP and the traditional unionist voice and extreme elements in Northern Ireland, and we're going to pretty much ignore the business community. We're going to inject instability. Now, as I said before, I would like Liz Truss to be interviewed by a journalist in the media and asked the specific question, what part of the protocol do you have a problem with? Can you give us specific examples of how the protocol is not working? Now, it's very disappointing and frustrating that a journalist does not ask that question. But I know that Liz Truss would not be able to answer the question, because why would she not? Because as soon as she would explain what the problem is, then we could try and find a solution. And she doesn't want to find solutions. In the same way that Truss's predecessor, Lord Frost and Boris Johnson, they're not interested in finding solutions. They're only interested in creating problems. Because as soon as we find a solution, then we take that problem off the table. They're not interested in making the protocol work. Why? Because it demonstrates how Brexit is a disaster. Because businesses in Great Britain are suffering the consequences of Brexit. Businesses in Northern Ireland are not. So it's very difficult to try and continue to sell Brexit as a success if it's not, and businesses in Northern Ireland are doing better while they're still part of the United Kingdom. So we're going to continue this ridiculous charade of where the British government continued to say the protocol is not working, will not provide any examples that we can investigate, we can look at, and they will say the response to this problem is to trigger Article 16. And you'll have parties in Northern Ireland like the DUP cheering them on. It's quite, as I said, depressing and frustrating, because you have people like Liz Truss, Lord Frost, Boris Johnson in Britain who do not care, do not understand Northern Ireland, and they're creating a situation which is going to can potentially create serious problems. The European Union on the other side is trying to work with the people of Northern Ireland to find solutions. As I said, the protocol is not perfect, but they're willing to find solutions to these problems. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.